Ever noticed how sometimes we convince ourselves everything is fine, even when deep down we know it isn't? Maybe it's a relationship that's been falling apart for months, or a job we secretly hate but call stable, or those little justifications. I'll start next week. It's not that bad. I'm just tired. We say these things not because we're evil or delusional. We say them because the truth hurts. And our minds, incredible as they are, will twist reality to protect us from that pain. But what if the very lies we tell ourselves to feel safe are the same ones keeping us stuck? Picture this. The Sunday night. You're staring at your ceiling, thinking about the week ahead. You feel heavy, unmotivated, but you whisper to yourself, it's just a phase. You've said that for months now, maybe years, and yet nothing changes. Here's the strange part. You know something's wrong. You can feel it. So why don't you do something about it? Because your brain, that ancient survival machine, isn't wired for truth. It's wired for comfort. We think we want honesty, but what we really crave most of the time is relief. And when truth threatens our sense of control, our mind starts playing defense, bending, editing, and reshaping reality until it feels bearable again. That's self-deception, and it's one of the most fascinating and dangerous psychological tricks we play on ourselves. Psychologists have studied this for decades. Sigmund Freud called it ego defense mechanisms, little lies our mind tells to protect the fragile parts of who we are. More recently, cognitive scientists describe it as motivated reasoning. We don't see the world as it is, we see it as we need it to be. Think of your brain like a lawyer, not a scientist. A scientist looks for the truth. A lawyer builds a case, and will cherry-pick any evidence that proves their client innocent. That's what we do when we lie to ourselves. We build emotional cases for why we're right, even when we know we're wrong. Ever caught yourself saying, "It's not really my fault"? That's your inner lawyer talking. Let's break this down into something simple. There are a few core reasons we deceive ourselves. And once you see them clearly, you'll start noticing them everywhere. In your thoughts, in your relationships, even in the mirror. The first is emotional protection. Imagine truth as a bright light. If you've been living in the dark, that light burns your eyes at first. We lie to ourselves to dim that light, to stay comfortable. You might tell yourself your partner still loves you, even when they've grown distant. You might convince yourself your job is fine, when it's draining your spirit. Or you might say you're just tired, when what you really are is unfulfilled. These lies aren't random, they're shields. They guard us from shame, fear, and uncertainty. But here's the paradox. Every time we protect ourselves with a lie, we also prevent ourselves from healing with the truth. The second reason we deceive ourselves is identity preservation. We all carry a story about who we are. I'm a good person, I'm smart, I'm loyal, I'm in control. But when life shows us evidence that contradicts that story, our brain panics. It feels like our very self is under attack. So instead of adjusting the story, we reject the evidence. We rationalize, we downplay, we deflect. If we fail an exam, we blame the teacher. If we hurt someone, we say, they misunderstood. If we waste years chasing the wrong dream, we call it a learning experience. We'll do anything to protect our identity, even if that means sacrificing our growth. The third reason is avoidance of change. Change is terrifying because it means stepping into the unknown. And the unknown is the one place our mind cannot predict or control. So when the truth demands change, we often lie to ourselves instead. We tell ourselves the timing isn't right, that we'll do it once things calm down, that we're not ready yet. But here's the thing, no one ever feels ready. Readiness is a myth our brain creates to justify delay. The truth is rarely convenient, but it's always freeing. Now, here's something fascinating. Studies show that self-deception actually helps us survive, at least in the short term. Athletes who overestimate their abilities perform better under pressure. People who believe everything will work out recover faster from trauma. Optimistic self-deception can reduce anxiety, even improve confidence. So the mind isn't broken for lying to us. It's protecting us. The problem is, when protection becomes a habit, it turns into a cage. Think about this. When was the last time you told yourself something you knew wasn't fully true, but you said it anyway, because it was easier? Maybe you said, "I'm fine," when you were clearly not. Or, "I don't care," when you deeply did. That small act, that quiet moment of denial, might seem harmless. But over time, those tiny distortions add up. They build a version of your life that isn't real, and you end up living inside it. That's the real cost of self-deception. It separates us from ourselves. Let me tell you a small story. There was once a man who dreamed of being a writer. Every night, he'd come home exhausted, open his notebook, and stare at the blank page. He'd tell himself, "I'm just too busy right now. I'll write when I have more time." Years passed. The notebook stayed blank. One day he realized it was never about time. It was about fear. He wasn't avoiding the work. He was avoiding the possibility of failure. And the too busy story was just a lie he told to protect his ego. We all have a version of that notebook. A dream, a truth, a change, waiting for us to stop lying to ourselves and face it. But here's the paradox, and maybe the most uncomfortable truth of all. We don't stop lying to ourselves by forcing honesty. We stop lying by becoming curious. Because when you approach your mind with curiosity instead of judgment, the truth feels less like an attack and more like a discovery. If you ask yourself, "Why am I really doing this?" without trying to justify it, your mind opens up. You start seeing the subtle ways you twist reality to fit your fears. And that awareness, that gentle noticing, is the first crack in the illusion. Self-awareness doesn't come from fighting the lie. It comes from watching it quietly until it loses power. So how do we break free from self-deception? First, notice the stories you tell yourself. We all have inner scripts. Things like, "I'm not ready," "I don't have time," "That's just how I am." Write them down. Then ask, what truth might I be avoiding by believing this? Second, practice emotional honesty. That means admitting your real feelings, even when they're inconvenient. If you're hurt, say you're hurt. If you're lost, admit it. If you're scared, allow it. Because emotions don't disappear when ignored, they disguise themselves as logic. And third, replace self-judgment with curiosity. Don't shame yourself for lying to yourself. Everyone does it. It's not weakness, it's protection. But protection is no longer needed when safety comes from truth. Here's a little twist to leave you thinking. Sometimes the biggest self-deception isn't pretending everything is okay. It's pretending that we don't already know what's wrong. Deep down, most of us do know. We know the job isn't right. We know the relationship is fading. We know we're capable of more. We just haven't decided to believe ourselves yet. So maybe the question isn't why do we lie? Maybe it's, when will we start listening? Because the truth, as uncomfortable as it is never our enemy. It's our compass. And every time we choose to face it, even when it hurts, we reclaim a little more of who we really are. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "It's fine," pause. Ask yourself, is it really? And if the answer scares you, that's okay. That's how you know it matters. If this resonated with you, try sitting with one question tonight. What truth have I been avoiding? And what would change if I faced it? Sometimes that one act of honesty can shift your entire life. And if you found this eye-opening, subscribe for more calm, insightful tales of the mind. In the next video, we'll explore why the brain resists change and how to overcome it. Because facing truth is hard, but staying blind costs everything.